If I have a simple tulip bulb in my hand, and I ask you to look at it and say, what is it? You'd say, well, it's just a grungy mass of biological matter. I say, but look at it more closely. And if it gets nurtured in a certain way, that is, it's watered and put in the ground, it will become a tulip bulb. Why? Because it has built into it a future pull. A future pull that you can't see or dissect or find in any lab. It has a future pull, a picture that is part of its DNA, part of its genetic inheritance. If you take a liver cell from your liver and look at it and dissect it, and it has a future pull, it will always be a liver cell. It will never be anything else. In order for you to be able to manifest magic, real magic in your life, miracles, you must first be able to conceive of it. You must be able to conceive of it, and that means no doubt. And the doubt comes by shifting to a knowing rather than a belief. All of this stuff, Deepak and I are talking now about taking a group, making a movie, and taking in this movie a group of babies that say 100 of them. And as they are born, we remove them from the environment that they're in, orphans and so on, children who are to be abandoned, and we place them into a world where there is no doubt, where they get past the lie. You know, we're led to believe a lie, as William Blake said in his wonderful poem, Songs of Innocence. He said, to see the world in a grain of sand and a heaven in a wildflower, to hold eternity in the palm of your hand and infinity in an hour, we are led to believe a lie when we see with, not through the eye, which was born in a night to perish in a night, when the soul slept in beams of light. All of us are born in a night to perish in a night, in the physical world. But the soul, the spirit, resides and sleeps in formless beams of light. We are led to believe a lie, a huge lie. And the lie is that there are limitations in our life. Imagine these little children being raised in a world where doubt and impossible and can't do are never exposed to that. Anything that they can conceive of in their mind, they're able to practice. They go to fire putting out school, 101. And in fire putting out school, here's a fire over here, and you sit here, and you work on it with your mind. And you put that fire out. You know what my kids and I do after dinner? Many times after dinner in the evenings, a couple times a week, we go out and we put blankets on the grass. And in the blankets on the grass, we look up at the sky. And we kids say, I'm going to make clouds. Who wants to make clouds? I want to make clouds, Daddy. I want to make clouds. I'm going to make a rabbit. My kids, all the people in the neighborhood think that my kids are neurotic. Those Dyer kids think they can make clouds. Why not? The same intelligence that flows through them flows through the clouds. Why not shatter the illusion of your separateness and believe that? Imagine a whole curriculum, a whole world in which you were raised to know that there was no doubt. And you can transcend that doubt. And when you do, you begin to see that miracles, synchronicity become very much a part of your life.
Inspiration responds to our attentiveness in various and sometimes unexpected ways. For example, when I began writing this book, I debated between the two titles, Inspiration, Your Ultimate Destiny, or Inspiration, Your Ultimate Calling. One day, while I was swimming in the ocean, I was going back and forth in my mind, trying out both titles. Still uncertain, when I'd finished my swim, I called Reed Tracy, who's the president and CEO of my publishing company at Hay House, from a payphone to get his opinion about the title. While I waited for him to answer, the word calling appeared on the miniature screen of the telephone. Nothing else, just calling. And then the word began to flash on and off as if it were trying to get my attention. When Reed answered, I told him what had just occurred, and we both agreed on Inspiration, Your Ultimate Calling, for the title of this book and this program. All of this may appear to be nothing more than a silly coincidence, but I know better. I think of the word inspiration as meaning being in spirit. When we're in spirit, we're inspired. And when we're inspired, it's because we're back in spirit, fully awake to spirit within us. Being inspired is an experience of joy. We feel completely connected to our source and totally on purpose. Our creative juices flow, and we bring exceptionally high energy to our daily life. We're not judging others or ourselves. We're uncritical and unbothered by behaviors or attitudes that, in uninspired moments, are frustrating. Our heart sings an appreciation for every breath, and we're tolerant, joyful, and loving. Being in spirit isn't necessarily restricted to the work we do or the activities of our daily life. We can be inspired and at the same time be unsure of what vocation to pursue or what activities we want to schedule. Inspiration is a simple recognition of spirit within ourselves. It's a return to that invisible, formless field from which all things emanate, a field of energy that I call intention in my previous book, The Power of Intention. My experience with being in spirit. When I'm in spirit, I have a feeling of contentment. But more than this, I experience joy. I'm able to receive the vibrational energies of my source, call them voices or messages or silent reminders, even invisible suggestions or what have you, but they're vibrations of energy that I'm able to align with as I get myself out of the way. Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, one of the world's great geniuses, once remarked, quote, "When I am, as it were, completely myself, entirely alone and of good cheer, say, traveling in a carriage or walking after a good meal or during the night when I cannot sleep, it is on such occasions that my ideas flow best and most abundantly. Whence and how they come, I know not, nor can I foresee them." End of quote. We don't have to be a genius to know what Mozart speaks of. The same force in a different way is flowing through you and me right now. I've learned to remove resistance to the free flow of this spiritual energy by reminding myself to align with it, or to be in spirit in my thoughts and my expectations. When I sit down to write, my desire is to invite spirit to express through me, and I encourage ideas to flow freely. Like Mozart, I'm connected as if it were to my source in spirit, thinking and expecting to be the instrument of my spiritual source. Ideas flow, and whatever assistance I need just shows up. And, like Mozart, I can't describe how the ideas come, and I can't force them. Staying in spirit seems to be the secret to this feeling of being inspired. I also find that inspiration flows in other areas of my life when my primary mission is like what Michael Berg so beautifully describes in Becoming Like God, Kabbalah, and Our Ultimate Destiny. Quote, "Just as every being is God's business, every being becomes our business as well." Unquote. That is, being inspired necessitates the willingness to suspend ego and enter a space where I want to share who I am and what I have in a completely unlimited fashion.
When you feel inspired, everything works. The reason that everything works is because you have left the material, the physical world, the world of the ego, and you've moved into the world of spirit. And when you move into the world of spirit, into that invisible world, you get connected. And inspiration means inspired. And Patanjali said, when you are inspired by some great purpose, some extraordinary project, all your thoughts break their bonds. Your mind transcends limitations. Your consciousness expands in every direction. And you find yourself in a new and great and wonderful world. Dormant forces, faculties, and talents come alive. And you discover yourself to be a greater person by far than you ever dreamed yourself to be. There's some very important wisdom in that. This idea of finding yourself inspired means that you allow these dormant forces, these things that are in every single one of us, to come alive. Consciousness begins to expand. Things begin to show up in your life. You begin to manage the coincidences of your life.
I wrote some textbooks back in the early 70s talking about the importance of goals. and I can't have them all withdrawn, but I think that, I watch my kids, and some of them are in college now, and some of them are out, and they're worrying about what they're going to major in, and trying to set a goal, and I tell them just to try to just enjoy every single moment and just let yourself be guided. I think it's great advice for parenting. It's just guide, then just step aside and recognize that all of us have the anchor of the universe located within us. That's what Lao Tzu said. It's in every single one of us. And let yourself be swept with it. Let yourself be taken by it, rather than getting your individual ego in there saying, well, this is what I'm going to do. And it's like Arthur Miller, the great playwright, he was asked a question at an interview with the New York Times. He was 91 years old, and they said to him, are you working on another play? And he said, I don't know. He said, but I probably am. And I understood exactly what he meant. I mean, I just finished writing a book that I put a year of my life into, This Wish is Fulfilled. And last night, I called the president of Hay House, my best friend, Reed Tracy, and I said, there's an idea germinating inside of me that I think will ultimately become a book. I don't know even quite, I just know it's starting to excite me. And I've often been called the father of motivation all over the world. They've got this title they put next to me, and I always say, if I have to be the father of anything other than the 8 children that I have, I would choose to be the father of inspiration, because I think it's the reverse of motivation. Motivation is when you get a hold of an idea and you take it where you believe that you can take it with your goals, and any obstacles that come along, you're going to plow through them, you're going to make this thing happen. And that's motivation. You get a hold of an idea. Inspiration is an idea gets a hold of you, and it takes you where you were intended to go even before you were ever conceived. I can't imagine you as a little boy in Germany were thinking about, being one of the most famous authors in the world. I mean, and how it all comes about, and what's going to come next for you. And like you said, I don't even know what words are going to come out next. It's for me, it's just being completely immersed in the now and surrendering, just like turning it over. That's just what I do. I turn it over. And the most amazing things happen when you turn it over. That's when God comes into your life. That's what Carl Jung called synchronicity. You have almost like a collaboration with fate. You're letting it all unfold. In the midst of your writing, I don't know if it happens for you, but there'll be something I'm not sure or whatever, and all of a sudden I'll go to the mail, or somebody will pick up the phone, and it'll be right there. And it's like, after a while, you start to almost count on it. You start to realize that you don't have to do anything. You can just let it come to you.
Yes.
So I don't think you can be totally free of goals. Like, I have to go to the bathroom. So I'm going to have a goal to go to the toilet, So I don't think I can get totally out of that goal place. But by and large in my life, I just let it be. I think the Beatles had it right. When you find yourself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. There will come an answer, let it be. I don't know, that's my theme.
I think there is a time in people's lives when there is a place for goals, but the important thing is the nature of the goal, and if it arises out of inspiration, as you call it, or a vision that comes to you of something that wants to be created through you. It could be a book. When The Power of Now came to me, I felt this urge suddenly of writing. I bought a yellow notepad. and began writing the first line, and at that moment I knew it's a book, and I knew what it was about, and it was very different from the kind of casual writing I had done before over the years, sometimes after sitting with people in having a session, counseling sessions, doing meditation with small groups. I would sometimes say things, and then later I would write them down because this was new to me too, but I said things that I didn't know before they came out. So that was a more casual writing, and then suddenly an energy stream came of a very different, more empowered kind of writing. And from the very first moment I knew it's a book. So in that sense, one could say I suddenly had the vision of writing a book, one could say. As one could say, I had a goal of producing a book. But it wasn't something that came as with a promise of delivering some kind of personal fulfillment to me in any way, that I can become famous through that, or I can make money through that, or I can become powerful through that, people are going to listen to me. All these could have been motivations for writing a book, but it was more like something, a realization of something that wants to come into being, and then you help it along, you go with it, you become a channel through which that wants to come into being comes into being.
Everything, remember, has a dharma. Every creature, every rose, and every human being has a dharma. You're already fulfilling it physically. You're already in the bodies that you were intended to be in. Remember what I said before, it is not about where you are, it's about what direction you're headed. And as long as you know you're heading in the direction of staying here in meaning. Now, this concept of a calling, I wrote a whole book about it. It's called Inspiration, in Spirit. And the subtitle is called Your Ultimate Calling. So I'm going to introduce a word here to help you to identify your calling. And that word is passion. And it doesn't make any difference to me whether that passion has anything to do with making a living, or it's a part of the DOT, the Dictionary of Occupational Titles. What is it that you find passion about? And the only condition I place on it is that it is in alignment with God or with your source. All right? So that your passion, if your passion is about killing other people, for example, if your passion is about stealing, if your passion is about, I often said that there's two ways to have the tallest building in town. One of the ways to have the tallest building in town, always, is to go around and knock down anybody else's building when they start getting taller than yours. So as soon as they get up, if you're at the 44 floors and they get to 43, 44, you just go over and you put some explosives in there and you just blow it up. And you say, I have the tallest building in town. And this is, by the way, our collective ego. This is what we do in our society and in our world, and which is about, if you really want to know my passion and my calling, it's about shifting the entire consciousness of this planet before I leave it. And that's why the film titled The Shift is so significant to me, because I know that if I can get 10 million people to watch that film, The Shift, if I can get 10 million people in America and Canada to watch that film, that we reach something called pi, 3.1416, remember? And if you can get 3.1416% of a population to align, the rest of it's called a critical mass in physics. You reach what is called phase transition. And if you align enough people or electrons or subatomic particles up and align them in a certain way in an energy field, and you reach what they call the 100th monkey, when you reach that point, all the rest of the electrons or the people in that energy field begin to align as well. And we have aligned ourselves collectively with a consciousness that allows for people to knock down other people's buildings. The other way to have the tallest building in town is to always work on your own building and not be concerned with anybody else's building or what anyone else out there is doing or being consumed with trying to compete with or win or defend. To listen to your calling. So your calling is the thing within you that has your attention, that has your passionate attention. And it doesn't make any difference whether it makes sense to anybody else. It's the thing that you feel inside of you that you're here for. It's Mr. Holland in Mr. Holland's opus. And here's the secret. Here's the thing that I learned. That it's the presence of the passion. That when you have the presence of the passion within you for what it is that you feel is your calling, everything else will take care of itself. That is an indication that you have God within you and guiding you. The word enthusiasm and theos, iasm, translates to the God within in Greek. The God within. When you are enthusiastic about something, anything, when you have that kind of internal knowing that this is what I'm doing. And sometimes you have to, that Shakespeare's, he wasn't just a great writer, he was an incredible philosopher. Probably the most famous lines from Shakespeare are from Hamlet. To be or not to be, that is the question. And that's a very profound question. But what follows that is much more profound. He said, after to be or not to be, that is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the minds of men to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles, and thus by opposing end them. You have to ask the question, and that's what this program is about, and that's what the movie is about, and that's what the book is about, and that's what all of it is about. To be or not to be. Am I going to be who I came into this world to be, and there's something inside of me that has always been calling me to it? Or am I going to allow the slings and arrows of an outrageous fortune that has been imposed upon me by others to dictate my dharma? That's really the question. And it's a question that you can answer and respond to and live with.
Do you have a definition for crisis? Like, what is a crisis?
It's a gift. It's a gift. Everything is. It's interesting you mentioned The Power of Intention, because I wrote that book in what you would call a crisis. My wife and I had separated. I was 60 years old. You don't break up when you're 60 and have 7 kids. You do that in junior high school. And for about a year and a half, I was in the closest thing I've ever had to a depression, a clinical depression. Didn't want to get up, just couldn't figure it out. My wife had met somebody else, and moved in with them and so on. And my children encouraged me to just start writing again. They said, if you just write about it. And I really didn't want to write about it. But I had lost a lot of weight. People thought I was sick. People thought I was dying, and so on. And that book was just channeled to me. And I think in moments of crisis, what it teaches us is to become more compassionate. And compassion is at the heart of higher consciousness and enlightenment. The Dalai Lama said that if we could take every child on the planet and have them meditate on compassion for 1 hour a week, every child at the age of 5, in one generation we could eliminate all violence on Earth. So that's how powerful he believes compassion to be. And I understood that, because The Power of Intention was a major shift for me. I began to look less flippantly and less egotistically at the world, and came from a place of inner grace or kindness, gentleness, love, what I call divine love. So that I've always felt that it is not always so important to just be in a state of gratitude when things go well, and when you're around people that smell good and that make you feel good and that look good, but it's the low points in our life, reminders that there's something inside of us that wants to have an outpouring of love. See, even the miser who loves his gold doesn't really love his gold because of the gold. The gold is just another thing. It doesn't have any love in it. It's just an object, a metal object. The reason that the miser loves his gold is because of the outpouring of love that he has for the gold. And that's true of everything and everyone. It's learning to have this outpouring of love, and you don't just have to have it for people and events, but you can have it for, for this microphone, and you can have it for the cameras, and you can have it for the wall, and the table, and the chair, and everything that you encounter. And I think for me, probably one of what you would call a crisis in my life was a diagnosis of leukemia 3 years ago. And when I first heard that word leukemia has cancer all around it. Cancer has a lot of fear all around it. And even if you aren't afraid to die, which I'm not, there's no point in being afraid of that. There's no point in being afraid of anything. You still, there's that inbred sort of psychic kind of awareness that cancer and fear go together, and so it was. It turned out to be one of the great blessings in my life. I encountered John of God down in Brazil, and was able to have just a magical experience around it. But what happened is when I had this healing and leukemia was taken out of my body, it wasn't so much that leukemia was taken out. What was taken out was fear, and it was replaced by love. Almost immediately, not almost, immediately after I had what they call the removal of the sutures, a week after the surgery, this remote surgery, I started feeling just love for everyone. I walked out of the room that morning, 7 days after the surgery, and I looked at my children and I just put my arms around them. I said, "You've just never looked more beautiful." And I looked at the ocean and it looked like just a big bowl of love soup. And the trees looked fluorescent, and every person that I walked by and looked at just became just objects of love.
I went through a couple of quotes. One was from Valerie Hunt's book, The Infinite Mind, which is the display quote for the 6th chapter of Spiritual Solution. She said, "But I do not believe that man can perceive his godlike qualities until his field reaches higher and higher vibrations and attains a greater degree of coherency. No matter how hard we may try to receive spiritual guidance, we cannot until our fields are attuned to that vibrational system called God." Let me share that with you again. "But I do not believe that man can perceive his godlike qualities until his field reaches higher and higher vibrations and attains a greater degree of coherency. So that you can sit there in anger and in fear and in shame and all of the reactions in your life that compute to make you weak, and that will make sense shortly. And you can never come to know God according to the minefield theory that Dr. Hunt espouses and talks about, and according to a spiritual solution to every problem. Because when you're not at peace, you have sent your body into a vibrational field of energy in which you have allowed your mind to create the error or the illusion that you and God are no longer connected, and that begins to take over. And as hard as you may try, and no matter what you may do, until you can raise the frequency at which you vibrate, until you can raise the energy level at which you experience life, and move out of the lower and slower frequencies and into the higher frequencies, you will not be able to access and negotiate the presence of a spiritual solution to your problems.
You see, the intellect has trouble with this, because the intellect is the mind and the mind is the ego. If you ask most people, where is your center? Where are you centered? They will point to their head. Where do you originate from? Where is your source? Where is your ability to think and to process? They will point to their head, and they will say, it's in my brain. My brain is what makes me be able to think and be able to understand concepts and so on. If you ask a spiritual being, where is your source? Where is your center? What is it that gives you the ability to understand these great miraculous things? They will point to their heart. And so, heart consciousness is very different than head consciousness. The head consciousness is one which tries to analyze it, tries to figure it out, and has a great deal of difficulty with it because it's coming from this position of separateness. The heart is your intuition. The heart is the part of you that says, I know and I trust and it works for me and I don't have to convince anyone else of it. And once you have this, even prayer becomes not like, most people think of prayer as like, God is like this huge vending machine in the sky, all right? And I put in my tokens, and I behave in a certain way, and certain things are going to come to me. But there's an authentic kind of prayer that is very different than this. And this kind of prayer is one in which your prayer is in communion with God rather than separation from. I turn it over to this higher part, but it's not something that I'm ever separate from. That's trust. That kind of trust in combination with knowing that you're no longer afraid of being God. Know ye that ye are gods, and I am in you, and you are in me, and I am in the Father, and the Father is in me. It's like this is something that we are being taught, and yet we have been conditioned almost to subscribe to another idea which says that I am not trustworthy, I am separate from, I can't do those things. That has to be transcended. You have to understand that in terms of people using it to give fear to you. And our greatest fear is the fear that we're going to be alone, that we're going to be abandoned. But this universal intelligence that is everywhere, this divine intelligence that is universal, that is in all things, how can it abandon us? Wherever we go, it's there. When you trust in that and know it without any doubt, you begin to see it everywhere. You see it in the flowers. You see it in the sunsets. You see it in your babies and in your mother-in-law. You see it in all places. And what you're doing when you see it is you're recognizing that I am worthy, and I am important, and I am significant. Yes, I am connected to God. I am what God is doing. And that's the subject of the next principle, honoring your worthiness to receive. Thank you.
If you don't believe what goes around comes around, the next time you see somebody down, just smile at them. Just say hello and be friendly toward them. And you'll see that what you send out is what comes back. Now, that law of the universe is so powerful that it affects every cell in your body. Every cell in your body. When you look at one cell in your body, ask yourself what makes the cell work. What makes a cell in your body work? Do you know what makes one individual little cell work? Harmony and cooperation. That's how cells work. an individual cell. If what's inside that cell, the electrons, the neutrons, and the protons, and all that physics stuff that's inside one, if any of them get out of whack and start not cooperating or not working in harmony, what happens to the cells around it? They're affected in some way, aren't they? When one individual cell is affected in a negative way, that is, when it loses its harmony, when it loses its cooperation, then it affects negatively those cells around it. And that's the disease, all right? And that spreads to another cell and to another cell. And before long, the harmony within you is, physiologically, is destroyed. There's two kinds of energy, supposedly, in every cell. One is the physics energy. Shirley MacLaine talks about this in her wonderful book, Out on a Limb. I recommend you read it. She talks about the physics of what is energy within one cell. And then that there's another kind of energy within a cell that scientists and physicists and chemists, none of us can figure out what it is, but it is what makes the whole thing work. They just call it the source. And that source, the nearest they can get to is love, or cooperation, or harmony, what we call love, which is just love. It's just cooperating and being in harmony with. All right? That's what love is. And that is what makes every single cell work. And when one doesn't work right, it affects the other cells. Now, for a minute, just for a minute, think of yourself as a cell, just as one big cell, okay? Now, one of us as a cell goes out of whack, goes amok, doesn't work right in some way. Does it affect those around us? One cell gone wrong can affect all the other cells around us. It's just a growth process, seeing bigger and bigger cells. But when you think about the entire size of our universe, which is endless, which we can't even begin to comprehend what endless means, and uncaused causes and so on, then you are as big as one of those tiny little cells inside of you. And if you go amok in some way, then you affect those around you. And if our planet, which is just another cell in billions and billions and billions of other cells, if our whole planet goes amok, that is, if we store up enough weapons and we do enough killing and we have enough hate, and as a people we do that, then we will not only affect everything down to that tiny little cell, but all the cells in our planet, in our universe, and it will go on forever. See, I have taken to sending out ICUS, a copy of my parable. I send these books out to all influential people in the world in every field. Just the last 2 weeks, I think our mailing lists have totaled over 4,000 at my own expense, just signing them and sending them out to all the government leaders, all the medical leaders, all education leaders, all people in celebrities data, all the people associated with different religions and so on. I'm just sending them out. All right? Now, many times when you send things out in the mail to a large mailing list, you get some back. Karma. Understanding how our universe works. In every single obstacle that you run into in your life, there's an opportunity. Every obstacle you have is a hidden opportunity. And seeing it, rather than as something to complain about or call your lawyer about or get upset about or anything in between, you see there is an opportunity in every setback you have in life, including everything you're suffering from right now. Everything, whatever it may be. There's an opportunity in it. Look for the opportunity. Look for the fulfillment, the potential for finding out what you're made out of, rather than for finding out how well you can say, see, I told you things weren't going to work out for me. So in sending out these books, I'll get 100 back. You send out 4,000, you get 100 back. That's a good day. Okay? Only 100 came back. Now, most people who send things out free and get some back say, well, this isn't working. I'm getting these back. I get 100 back and all that. To me, it's like, how can I find that person? This is a test. To me, that's a test from the universe to say, what are you made of? You're just going to give up and not find that person? Or are you going to go look for that person? Because that's to find out what you're made out of. And that's what I do with all of that and have always done. And somehow just knew to do that. When it's somebody says no, it's how can I figure out a way to go around that no? Rather than I think that they're right, I'll just give up. It's always how can I get around that?
If you don't accept yourself, nothing else, no one else is either. You know, it's like, I think of it as like we're all creations of God. We all come from the same place. You know, T.S. Eliot said that we shall not cease from exploration,
But at the end of all of our exploring will be to return to the place from which we originated and to know it for the first time. And he was speaking about death, and I don't. I don't take that as an explanation of death. I take that as an explanation of an understanding that we all emerged from this place, the same place, that we're all connected. Everything in this universe is connected. Larry Dossey has just written a beautiful book called One Mind, and I've just finished reading it, and it's like showing scientifically how everything is connected to everything in this universe, and you can't take anything and not see the connection to it, especially at the quantum level. So that who you are is a creation of God. You know, in my book Wishes Fulfilled, I talk about, it's like one of the things you have to recognize is that your highest self is God. You must be like what you came from. So a little tiny spark of who you are is the Tao, is God, is divine mind, is Krishna, is consciousness, is Buddha, whatever you want to call it. In the Tao, the opening line of the Tao says, the Tao that can be named is not the Tao. We can't find a name for it. It's just like, but it's the best name we can come for it is something called love. It's just love. It's divine love. And so this is what you came from. So if you don't accept yourself, you're not accepting something that is the creation of God. You know, because truly, I mean, it's like the greatest wisdom that you can have is the recognition that you are a piece of this divinity. And I walk around with just Rumi said, sell your cleverness and purchase bewilderment. I'm just in a state of bewilderment about it all. And when you accept yourself, you love yourself. And when you love yourself, that's what you have to give away. And the only thing that you can give away, and that's what a saint is, someone who can only give love away, because that's all they have inside. That's been my goal in my life, is to have no enemies, to have nothing, and particularly not to make an enemy of myself. To love everything about myself. And while I was going through the last 6 months of this pain, the stuff we tapped on down in Australia and so on, most of the time, and you heard me say it many times, say there's a lesson in this for me. And I just did a public television special, another public television special. And when I got an hour and a half before the show to start, I got one of these attacks again in the neck, and I was just like, how am I going to get through this thing and so on. And I said a prayer. My wife was there, 2 of my girls were there, we were in the room, I had my arms around them, and I said, if I'm supposed to endure this pain, for whatever reason that I don't even understand yet, I'm willing to do it. But could I please just have the next couple of hours so that I could at least get through this experience? And it just dissolved. And I was able, you were there, you were in the audience, and I was able to go out there and do it. And then the pain returned the next day, and I went right back to that state, and I still do it now. And I can feel it even now as we're talking about it a little bit here. And instead of cursing it, instead of being angry at it, I accept it as my dharma. This is, and whatever it is that I have to learn from it, generally speaking, every difficulty I've had in my life, getting divorced, literally being someone who is addicted to substances, including alcohol, letting go of those kinds of beliefs that those are terrible things that I should be ashamed of. They've been amongst my greatest teachers. And this pain is just another one of those things. And generally speaking, I now can go out and help people who live in chronic pain. And you do a lot of this with your tapping. I've seen you do it on stage, with people. In fact, when we were out in Australia, that one woman, what was it? She couldn't even...
Well, there's one lady with a frozen shoulder who couldn't move her arm.
Hadn't been able to move her arm in years.
In 20 minutes, she got it up like that.
So it's like, and that comes from just accepting yourself, and actually instead of cursing the pain, because when you curse the pain and get angry at it, you get angry. Every cell of your being goes through that same anger, and what you want to do is just get to that peaceful place within yourself where you say, when you trust in yourself, you're really trusting in the wisdom that created you, and the wisdom that created you is infinite, and it's formless. And so your thoughts are in that same category. Have thoughts that are aligned with that divine presence. You'll see it going away. Quote from A Course in Miracles. The memory of God comes to the quiet mind. It cannot come where there is conflict. For a mind at war against itself remembers not eternal gentleness. What you remember is a part of you, for you must be as God created you. Let all this madness be undone for you, and turn in peace to the remembrance of God, still shining in your quiet mind. It's about remembering our origination. I committed this passage to memory many years ago, and I use it as a way to remember who I truly am and where I really came from, particularly when I communicate with my Creator, to stay on purpose and in spirit. Now I'd like to go through each of the messages in this observation from A Course in Miracles one by one. Number 1, the memory of God comes to the quiet mind. We came from a quiet, peaceful place. That's the very essence of creation. So when our mind is filled with noisy dialogue, we shut out the possibility of remembering our spirit. Incessant chatter keeps us attached to the physical world and produces anxiety, stress, fear, worry, and so many of the emotional reactions that are decidedly removed from God realization. We must minimize distractions when we wish to communicate with God. So being in nature, away from the artificial noises that invade our space, is helpful. But the most important thing to consider is how to keep our mind free from the dizzying, bewildering cascade of thoughts flowing through our head from morning till night, and even on into our dream state. It's been estimated that we have something like 60,000 separate thoughts every day. The real problem is that we have the same 60,000 thoughts today that we had yesterday. I've made the practice of meditation a part of my daily life because it's one way to quiet the mind so that the memory of God is accessible. So by learning to meditate, or at the very least shutting down the inner dialogue produced, directed, and acted upon by your ego, you can open up a space for remembering and returning to spirit. 2, it cannot come where there is conflict. In order for conflict to exist, there must be two opposing forces at work. That is, one force, in the form of an idea, a point of view, a desire, or a contribution, directly clashes with another. Conflict defines our lives in many ways, as we oppose our partners, our children, our bosses, our neighbors, and even our countries. In politics, it's always one party versus the other. And the entertainment industry portrays battling points of view that are usually turned into violent scenes. Essentially, conflict requires two-ness. However, remembering where we came from involves our returning to the oneness of being in spirit. After all, there are no battling powers in the divine realm of spirit. There's only perfect oneness, and this is what we want to rejoin. We want to become one again with our Creator, and we can't retrieve this memory of God with a mind in conflict in any way. 3, for a mind at war against itself remembers not eternal gentleness. The second part of this teaching from A Course in Miracles reinforces that a combative mind cannot remember where it once resided in eternal gentleness. Obviously, you can't wage war and simultaneously focus on peace and gentleness, and it is eternal gentleness that you want to remember and rejoin. It's really quite simple to do this. Just close down the battlefield and surrender. Remove all of the artillery, send the soldiers home, and replace the instruments of war in your mind with thoughts of peace, tranquility, and surrender. Making your mind a place of peace is achieved by your own will, so steadfastly refusing to have thoughts of conflict allows you to activate the glory of remembering your spirit. 4, the fourth part of this quote. What you remember is a part of you. Every memory I have is me. What a glorious feeling it is to know this. We each have the power to retrieve any piece of ourselves that we desire and to experience it right here, right now, in this present moment. The great Danish theologian Søren Kierkegaard once observed that life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards. In other words, if we can't go back and remember the spiritual bliss that defined us before the beginning, we've really abandoned a part of ourselves. As we move into communion with God, we must know that our inability to remember our spiritual origins is another way of really saying, quote, I'm unable to know myself because I have no recollection or memory of my spirit. Unquote. In fact, the corollary of this line from A Course in Miracles that we're processing right now would be, what you don't remember is not a part of you. In other words, if we fail to remember spirit, then obviously it isn't a part of us. And 5, for you must be as God created you. As you communicate with your source of being, know that you're awakening a part of yourself that's just like God. In fact, you ought to try to approach communication with God by being as closely aligned to the way that you were created as possible. That is, by becoming a vibrational match to the all-loving Creator. Come to the quiet moments in consultation with God in love, in peace, and without judgment. As A Course in Miracles is saying, you must be as you were created. So why put on a false mask and pretend to be anything or anyone else? In this way, you can open the channel of communication because you finally remembered to be the way you were created. And that's the key to effective prayer. And as Gandhi once said, prayer is not an old woman's idle amusement. Properly understood and applied, it's the most potent instrument of action. And 6, let all this madness be undone for you, and turn in peace to the remembrance of God still shining in your quiet mind. Let's take the 3 suggestions in this teaching one at a time. First, A Course says, let this madness be undone. The madness here is that of living in a state of conflict. In other words, we must make an attempt to transcend the dichotomies of our life because the division creates so much suffering and keeps us from living an inspired life. I remember a Ram Dass lecture in which he said, I firmly come to the conclusion that there are no thems for me anymore. I can't be told who to hate, who to fight, who to subdue. I only see an us in my heart. All those messages to divvy up our world are insane. All our self-centeredness just drives our ego's insatiable appetite for making us special and putting other people down. The Course encourages us to be done with this madness once and for all, both in our minds and in our actions. And second, we're told to turn in peace to the remembrance of God. Once again, we know in our heart that we came from a place of peace. So any discord can't be the result of our Creator's actions. God cannot come to us when we pray from non-peace, so the solution is to return to the remembrance of Him and ask to be made an instrument of His peace. When I find myself out of sorts, I remember. And what I remember is to turn to peace right now in prayer. I become peace rather than anguish, and I feel the calmness I long for come over me like a wave of pleasurable relief.
There is a deep truth that you must understand, a truth so powerful it can change the course of your life. The truth is this: God has already planned the restoration of all your wasted years, every moment of regret, every lost opportunity, every instance where you felt you were too late or too far gone. These moments are not lost, they are not gone forever. In the divine realm, there is no such thing as wasted time. Now consider for a moment the idea of time. What if time is not the linear force we believe it to be? What if the past, present, and future are all part of the same divine flow? In the spiritual world, the concept of time as we know it does not exist. There is only the eternal now. And within that now, everything you have experienced, every mistake, every heart touch, every moment of failure is already being redeemed. The Bible tells us that God makes all things beautiful in His time. This is not just a distant promise for some future time. It is an active and present reality. You see, when you choose to believe in your restoration, when you begin to imagine yourself healed, whole and living in the fulfillment of your desires, you are aligning with the divine power of the universe that has already set everything in motion for your benefit. Imagine this: you are standing in the fullness of your future. The pain you once felt is gone. The opportunities you thought you missed are now before you. The dream you thought was too big or too distant is within your grasp. You are not waiting for God to restore what was lost. You are already experiencing it. Right now, in this very moment, God is working behind the scenes to bring every fragment of your life into alignment with His perfect plan. You may look back and see mistakes or mischances, but in reality, you were never separated from your purpose. You were always being guided, even through the moments of uncertainty. Every decision you made, every step you took, even the ones that seemed like wrong turns, have led you to this moment of awareness. In this moment, you are awakening to the truth that everything that was meant for you is still on its way. Your task now is not to dwell on the past or to mourn over what you think was wasted. Your task is to focus on the power of your imagination. Imagine the restoration of all your years, every dream, every unfulfilled hope, every vision that was once cast aside, now coming to fruition. See yourself living the life you once thought was impossible, living in the fullness of God's plan. The more vividly you imagine, the more you will align with the truth that all things are working together for your good. What is faith if not the belief that what we imagine we can become? The act of faith is not passive. It is an active creation of your world, a belief in your heart that God has already restored you. You are not waiting for something outside of you to change. The change begins within. As you hold the vision of your restoration in your mind, you are activating the divine power that is already within you. Remember, you are never too late. There is no such thing as a wasted time in the divine economy. God has a plan for you, and it is unfolding perfectly. What appears to be a delay is simply a step in the process of your transformation. The restoration of your life is not some distant event. It is a now event. As you begin to see yourself restored, you are bringing it into your present reality. Every time you align with the truth of your restoration, you are one step closer to experiencing it in your physical world. What was lost is not truly lost. It is waiting for you to recognize it, waiting for you to claim it as your own. And so, do not mourn for what is past. Do not mourn for the years you think were wasted. Instead, rejoice in the present moment, for this is where your power lies. This is where the divine force of restoration is at work in your life. You are being restored in every way, spiritually, emotionally, and materially. Trust that what is meant for you is already on its way, and that no time, no effort, no moment is ever wasted in the eyes of God. As you move forward, remember that you are not bound by the past. You are a being of eternal possibility. Your best years are not behind you. They are unfolding now in perfect divine order. The truth you must embrace is that there is no real loss in the divine realm. In the world of form, there may appear to be delays, detours, and lost opportunities. But in the divine, there is no time wasted. Everything that has ever been part of your life experience has a purpose, even if it doesn't seem like it at the time. There is a divine orchestration happening behind the scenes of your life, one that is working to restore, redeem, and realign every single experience to bring you to the exact place you need to be. When you reflect on the years you consider wasted, think of them as part of the puzzle. Each piece, no matter how small or insignificant it seemed at the time, is a vital part of the whole. And like any intricate puzzle, sometimes pieces must be placed in a specific order before the full picture reveals itself. Even when you couldn't see how things fit together, God was working all things for your good. Your human perspective, limited by time and space, cannot always comprehend the grand design. Yet, this design is perfect, and it includes every piece of your life, including those moments you thought were lost forever. There is a sacredness in time that is beyond human understanding. Time, as we know, may be a linear progression, but it is not so in the realm of spirit. In this higher realm, all that you have experienced and all that you are becoming are intertwined, woven together in an eternal, seamless whole. The past, present, and future all coexist. And in this timeless space, everything is possible. The mistake you think you made, the years you feel were spent in vain, are simply echoes of the divine process unfolding in your life. What seems like loss is simply the process of your evolution. In every situation, in every setback, you are growing. Growth is never linear, and it does not always look like progress on the surface. But behind the scenes, in the realm of your inner being, there is always movement, always transformation. The divine is constantly working to refine you, to mold you, to align you with your highest good. There is no such thing as wasted time when it comes to divine growth. Every moment of your life has been a step, a lesson, an opportunity for learning. And it all contributes to the grand tapestry of who you are becoming. When you embrace this truth, you step into a space of infinite possibility. You understand that there is no place too far gone for restoration, no dream too lost to be found, No person too broken to be healed. When you open your heart and mind to the truth that God is restoring all your wasted years, you begin to feel the shift. The shift from the belief in lack and limitation to the belief in abundance and restoration. It is this shift in consciousness that allows you to see the divine working in your life. As you believe in the restoration of your lost years, you begin to see how everything is unfolding exactly as it should. The moments of hardship, the periods of waiting, the experiences that once felt like failures, they were not obstacles. They were stepping stones guiding you to the realization of your divine potential. Your soul knows that all things are working for your good, even when your mind questions it. You are more than just your circumstances. You are more than the sum of your past mistakes. You are a divine being, and your restoration is already in motion. This power of restoration comes not from outside of you, but from within. Your imagination, your inner vision, is the key that unlocks the fullness of your restoration. When you visualize your life as whole and complete, you are aligning yourself with the divine flow. You are no longer bound by what you have experienced, but rather you are stepping into the truth of who you truly are. You are a child of God, and no thing, no experience, no failure can ever take that away from you. As you visualize yourself restored, you are actively participating in the process of creation. It is not about waiting for something to happen. It is about seeing and knowing that it already has. It is about living in the feeling of restoration now, regardless of what your physical senses may tell you. When you focus on the vision of your restored life, when you feel the emotions of joy, peace, and fulfillment, you are aligning with the divine power that has always been at work within you. This is the key to manifestation, to feel it, to believe it, to know it, even when it has not yet fully materialized in the physical world. When you begin to understand this, you realize that nothing has been wasted. Your life is an ongoing process of creation, and every experience you have had is part of that process. The belief that your years have been wasted is simply an illusion. The divine has been working on you every step of the way, guiding you to this moment of realization. You have not been idle or forgotten. You have been in the process of becoming, and now you are stepping into the fullness of who you truly are. It is important to understand that this restoration is not a one-time event. It is an ongoing process. The divine never stops restoring, never stops aligning you with your highest potential. As you continue to align your thoughts, beliefs, and feelings with the truth of your restoration, you continue to experience it in new and beautiful ways. What you once thought was lost is now being restored to you. And this restoration will continue to unfold as long as you remain open to it. The truth of your restoration is not something you need to wait for. It is something you are already experiencing in the now. Every time you choose to believe in your restoration, you are calling it forth into your life. Every time you focus on the truth that God is restoring all your wasted years, you are making space for the miracles that are already on their way. You are not waiting for the restoration to come from somewhere outside of you. You are the one creating it, the one drawing it into your experience. This is the power of divine imagination, the power of seeing beyond the present circumstances. Your past does not define you, nor does it determine your future. Your future is determined by what you choose to believe now. And when you believe in your restoration, when you believe that God is already restoring all your wasted years, you are tapping into the divine energy that has always been available to you. This energy is infinite, and it is waiting for you to use it to create the life you desire. Now take a moment to reflect on this truth. Imagine your life as it has already been restored. See yourself walking in the fullness of your dreams, experiencing the peace, the joy, and the abundance that you have always desired. See yourself surrounded by love, success, and fulfillment. Feel the emotions of gratitude, contentment, and joy in your heart. This is the power of divine restoration, and it is already happening in your life. The more you align with this truth, the more you will see it manifest in your physical world. Remember, the key to your restoration lies within you. It lies in your ability to imagine, to feel, and to believe in the fullness of God's plan for your life. You are not waiting for restoration. You are the one bringing it forth. Trust in the divine timing of your life and know that everything you have experienced, every moment of your journey, has been leading you to this moment of realization. The best is yet to come, and it is already unfolding before your eyes. The power of restoration, when you truly understand it, transcends anything that the human mind can logically process. What seems like a missed opportunity or wasted time is actually a series of steps leading you to exactly where you are meant to be. Your life is not a collection of random events. Every experience has been intricately woven into your story for a reason, and even in your darkest moments, there has been a divine force orchestrating every detail. While your human perception might see these moments as setbacks, the divine sees them as necessary parts of your evolution, leading you to a place of greater wisdom, strength, and understanding. The past, as you perceive it, is not a place of permanent loss. It is simply a point on your journey. Time itself, in the grand design, is not as rigid as it appears to be. You may look back and feel regret or sorrow for what you think was wasted, but these are only illusions created by your perception of linear time. In truth, you have never lost anything. In the eternal now, the divine already knows your restored self, and that version of you is constantly being brought to the forefront of your life. When you align yourself with the understanding that all is happening in divine order, you are no longer bound by the illusions of the past. If you consider the nature of time, you begin to see that it is not a one-way path leading only forward. It is a spiral, an eternal return, where every experience you have is cyclical and complete in itself. Just as the seasons cycle through periods of growth, dormancy, and renewal, so too do the moments of your life. What you consider wasted years were simply the winter seasons of your soul, necessary for rest, reflection, and eventual rebirth. Without these periods of dormancy, the spring of new opportunities and growth would not be possible. God, in His infinite wisdom, knows this truth intimately. He understands that in order to become who you were always meant to be, you must experience all that you have experienced, and it must happen in the precise order that has been laid out for you. You may wonder why certain things took so long, or why they happened in the way they did, but from the perspective of divine timing, it was all necessary. Your path, however winding it may have seemed, is the exact path you needed to walk in order to come to the realization that you are not separate from your divine destiny. It is a realization that you have been on the path to your highest good all along, even in the moments where it seemed you were lost. When you shift your perspective and see the totality of your life through the lens of divine restoration, you can begin to release the burden of regret. Regret is simply the mind's refusal to accept what has already happened. It is an attachment to an outcome that was never meant to be. But the truth is that all is already well. All is already restored. The version of you that has been waiting for the fullness of your life to manifest is already complete. And when you live in the present moment, when you connect deeply with the divine within, you step into the realization that you are never lacking, you are never too late, and you are never too far gone. You are exactly where you are meant to be. One of the most profound ways in which God restores your wasted years is through the power of forgiveness. Not only the forgiveness you extend to others, but the forgiveness you offer to yourself. Often it is the self-judgment, the harsh words we speak to ourselves, that causes us to feel disconnected from the flow of divine restoration. But when you choose to forgive yourself for past mistakes, For what you perceive as wrong turns or missed opportunities, you create space for restoration to take place. Self-forgiveness is a powerful act of surrendering to divine and trusting that everything has unfolded perfectly. This act of grace allows the flow of divine energy to move freely through you, restoring all that you once thought was lost. Forgiving others plays a crucial role in this process as well. Holding on to grudges and resentment is like placing barriers between you and the divine flow of restoration. When you hold on to past hurts, you are carrying the weight of those experiences into every area of your life, preventing new opportunities from emerging. But when you forgive others, you are not cunning their actions. You are freeing yourself from the emotional ties that keep you bound to the past. This act of release is a powerful step in your restoration process. It allows God's healing energy to flow into every part of your being, transforming old wounds into new wisdom. Another essential aspect of the restoration of wasted years is the role of faith. Faith is the key that unlocks the doors to your future. It is the unwavering belief that no matter what has happened in the past, everything is working together for your highest good. Faith is not about seeing the outcome before it arrives. It is about trusting that the outcome is already written, even when you cannot yet perceive it. When you have faith, you are aligning with the divine plan for your life. You are trusting that every moment, every experience has been carefully orchestrated to lead you to a place of restoration. What you may have thought of as failure or missed opportunity is actually part of the process of becoming. You are becoming the person you were always meant to be. Every trial you have faced, every disappointment has been refining you, polishing you like a precious stone. The divine has been working within you to prepare you for the full manifestation of your destiny. When you have faith, you no longer see these experiences as burdens or setbacks. You see them as steps in the unfolding of your true nature. And with each step, you move closer to the manifestation of all that you have been imagining. The restoration of your years is not a passive process. It requires you to be an active participant in your own transformation. This means engaging your imagination in a way that aligns with the divine vision for your life. You must begin to see yourself as already restored. See yourself as the person who has walked through every challenge and emerged victorious. See yourself standing in the fulfillment of your dreams, living the life that you once thought was impossible. When you engage your imagination in this way, you are not only seeing the life you desire, you are becoming the person who deserves it. The divine within you is constantly calling you to remember your true nature, to remember that you are already whole and complete. When you visualize yourself restored, you are tapping into the infinite creative power that is within you. This is the power of divine manifestation. This is the power. It is the ability to align your thoughts, beliefs, and emotions with the truth that everything you desire is already yours. You are not waiting for something to happen. You are calling it into being with every thought you think, with every image you hold in your mind. And so, as you continue this journey of restoration, remember that you are not a victim of time. You are not bound by the past, nor are you subject to the whims of fate. You are a divine being, and your destiny is already written. All that you need to do is align with it. Trust in the divine timing of your life. Trust that the restoration of all your wasted years is happening now. Trust that what has been lost is not lost forever, but is being returned to you in divine order. In every moment, in every thought, in every breath, you are participating in the unfolding of your divine plan. And as you continue to step into the fullness of your restoration, you will see that all things are possible. Your dreams are not distant and unreachable. They are already within you, waiting to be realized. So hold fast to the truth that God is restoring all your wasted years. Trust in His divine plan, and know that in the end, everything has worked out for your highest good. You are exactly where you are meant to be, and your restoration is already in motion. Continue to believe, to imagine, and to trust in the divine flow, and you will witness the fulfillment of every desire you have ever held in your heart. God's restoration of your wasted years operates on a level beyond human comprehension, a level that is not bound by the limitations of time or space. It is a process rooted in divine intelligence, where the principles of the universe work together in perfect harmony to restore you to your true divine state. Every experience you have had, whether perceived as a mistake or a missed opportunity, is merely a stepping stone towards realizing the fullness of who you are meant to be. When you embrace this understanding, you can no longer view your past as something that has been lost or wasted. Instead, you will see it as the necessary foundation for your future, a foundation that has been laid with purpose and precision. Every second of your life has been a part of God's grand design. No moment is insignificant. Even when you feel you have strayed from your path, God's hand has been gently guiding you back to where you need to be. Your human mind may struggle to make sense of the timeline of your life, but from the perspective of divine wisdom, everything is unfolding exactly as it should. The pain, the challenges, the setbacks, they are not signs that you have failed, but rather that you have been on a journey of becoming, a journey that is deeply personal and profoundly transformative. You may find it difficult to see how this process works in the moment, especially when things seem uncertain or when you question the choices you have made in the past. But it is in those very moments of doubt and struggle that God is working most powerfully within you. In fact, it is often through the periods of uncertainty and struggle that the most significant breakthroughs occur. Just as a seed must break open in the soil before it can sprout into a beautiful plant, so too must you experience moments of brokenness in order to truly appreciate and embody your restoration. It is through this very process of breaking down that the seeds of your true self can begin to grow. The experiences you have deemed wasted are in fact the moments that have shaped you. They are the trials and tests that have forged your character, built your resilience, and awakened you to the divine potential within. Every difficulty you have encountered has been a lesson, every disappointment a necessary part of your spiritual growth. These experiences have taught you to trust, to surrender, and to let go of the need to control. Through each challenge, you have been gently guided to develop the qualities that will serve you as you step into your full potential. When you recognize that, your perspective shifts. What you once saw as lost time now becomes a rich source of wisdom and power. And there is a powerful truth in knowing that the divine does not operate on human timelines. You may have thought that opportunities passed you by or that time had run out for your dreams to come true. Yet, from the perspective of God's infinite wisdom, time is not linear. It is a fluid and ever-present force. The restoration of your wasted years is not a future event. It is a present reality. The energy of restoration is already working within you. Even now, this moment is the moment of your divine restoration. Your past, present, and future are all connected, all woven together by the threads of divine intelligence. When you allow yourself to tap into this truth, you begin to understand that there is no such thing as a wasted moment. Your thoughts and beliefs are the keys to unlocking the restoration process. If you continue to dwell on the past, holding on to regrets and judgments, you will block the flow of restoration. But if you begin to embrace the power of your imagination, if you begin to see your life not as it was, not as it could be, then you are aligning yourself with the divine flow of restoration. Imagination is not just a tool for dreaming. It is a powerful creative force that shapes your reality. When you begin to imagine yourself restored, living the life you have always desired, free from the limitations of the past, you are participating in the creation of your future. This is not wishful thinking. It is the law of the universe in action. Your mind, aligned with divine truth, has the ability to bring into being that which you believe to be possible. As you tap into this power, you begin to release the grip of the past. You stop seeing yourself as someone who is defined by their mistakes or missed opportunities. Instead, you begin to see yourself as a vessel of divine potential, a being who is constantly being guided towards greater fulfillment. This shift in consciousness allows the process of restoration to accelerate. When you forgive yourself for the perceived wrongs of the past, when you let go of the need to control every outcome, you open the door for divine grace to flow freely through your life. The key to understanding this divine restoration is the realization that you are always in the process of becoming. Who you are today is not the final version of you. The person you are destined to become is constantly evolving, constantly growing into the fullness of their potential, and every experience you have had, every year you think you've wasted, is a part of that process. These experiences are not obstacles, but the very steps that are leading you to the person you are meant to be. God does not see you as a series of past mistakes or missed chances. He sees you as a perfect, whole being, constantly expanding and evolving. He sees you as the person you have yet to fully become. Your life is a masterpiece in the making, a work of art that is being shaped by every experience you encounter. Your past is not a series of regrets. It is the clay from which the divine artist is sculpting your true form. Each moment, whether joyful or painful, contributes to the greater work of your life. The fullness of your potential is being restored in each and every moment. When you step into the understanding that all of your years, even the ones you considered wasted, have purpose, you unlock the power of restoration. You are no longer bound by the perception of time as something that slips away. Instead, you see that time as a tool that God uses to shape you, to guide you, to bring you into alignment with your higher self. The divine does not waste time, and neither should you. Every moment you live, no matter what it looks like on the surface, is part of your restoration process. The more you align with this truth, the more you allow the flow of divine energy to restore you. And so the process of restoring your wasted years is not one of rushing to catch up or trying to make up for lost time. It is one of surrender. It is the surrender of your need to control the outcome. It is the surrender of your attachment to past mistakes. It is the surrender of any belief that you are not worthy of the fullness of your restoration. When you surrender, you allow the divine to step in and take over. You allow the power of God to move through you, to bring you into alignment with the life you are meant to live. The key to this restoration is remembering who you are. You are not a victim of time. You are a divine being, intricately woven into the fabric of the universe. You are a unique expression of God's love, and your life has purpose. The years that seem wasted are simply the experiences that have led you to this point, to the realization of your true potential. The moment you recognize this truth, you step into a new level of consciousness where you step into the realization that you are never too late, never too far gone, never beyond the reach of divine restoration. You are always in the right place at the right time, moving towards the fulfillment of your divine purpose. The beauty of God's restoration is that it does not follow the logic of the world, nor does it adhere to the time frames you may have set for yourself. Restoration in the divine sense is not about making up for lost years, but rather about recognizing that those years were not lost at all. Everything you have experienced, from your lowest points to your highest achievements, has been part of a perfect design. Each experience, whether joyful or painful, has played a role in your growth, your understanding, and your evolution into the person you are destined to become. Nothing in your life has been wasted, for every moment is a piece of the puzzle that makes up the entirety of your divine journey. When you look back at your life, Especially at the moments where you feel you have wasted time, you may begin to see them differently. Instead of focusing on the mistakes you made or the opportunities you missed, start viewing these moments as the necessary training ground for the person you are becoming. These years have served as the foundation upon which you now stand, preparing you for the life that is waiting for you. They have allowed you to develop the resilience needed to face future challenges with courage, the wisdom to discern your path, and the patience to trust in God's timing. At times, it may feel like you have not made the progress you expected, or that the dreams you once held dear are slipping away from your grasp. In such moments, it is important to remind yourself that your human understanding of progress is limited. From a spiritual perspective, you are always moving forward. Even during the times when it seems like nothing is happening, there is deep work being done beneath the surface. The God's restoration is not immediate in the way that you might expect, but it is always perfect in its timing. The life you desire is already unfolding, just as it should. Your thoughts play a significant role in the process of restoration. If you continue to dwell in the past, holding on to feelings of regret, shame, or guilt, you will only block the flow of restoration in your life. When you hold on to the belief that you have wasted time, you are reaffirming that the years are lost, and in doing so, you close yourself off to the possibility of divine intervention. The restoration process begins with a shift in your thinking, where you recognize that your past does not define you, and that every experience has led you closer to your divine purpose. Start by changing your perspective. See your life as a beautiful tapestry woven with all the moments, people, and experiences that have shaped you. Each thread has its place in the design, and every color adds depth and meaning. While some threads may appear to be darker or more difficult to understand, they are still essential to the overall picture. Every part of your journey is necessary, for it has all been designed to bring you closer to the realization of your highest potential. As you begin to embrace this new perspective, you also begin to release the hold that time has on you. No longer will you see yourself as someone who is racing against the clock. Instead, you will begin to understand that time is not something you need to control. Time is an illusion, and it is only in the present moment that true restoration takes place. In the present, all things are possible. When you fully embrace the present moment and trust that it is all unfolding as it should, you open yourself up to the miraculous power of God's restoration. Trusting the process is one of the most powerful ways to align yourself with divine restoration. There may be times when the journey feels slow, when you question whether anything is changing, but it is in these moments that you must hold firm to your faith. God's restoration works in ways that are beyond your understanding. It may not always appear the way you expect it to, but it will always be in alignment with your highest good. When you trust that the process is working in your favor, even in the face of uncertainty, you allow the flow of divine energy to bring you exactly what you need at the perfect time. This trust is not blind faith, but rather a deep knowing that the universe is constantly working on your behalf. It is a recognition that every experience, every interaction, and every challenge is a stepping stone towards your divine restoration. You are never alone on this journey. God is always with you, guiding you, protecting you, and supporting you in ways that you cannot always see. When you trust in this unseen force, you release the need for control and surrender to the divine timing that is at play in your life. Another important aspect of God's restoration is the understanding that you are worthy of all that is coming to you. Many people struggle with feelings of unworthiness, especially when they look at their past and see missed opportunities or mistakes. But the truth is, you are worthy of every blessing, every opportunity, and every gift that the universe has to offer. You are a divine being, created in the image of God, and nothing that you have done or experienced can take away your inherent worth. The restoration process is not about earning back what you have lost, but rather about recognizing that everything that is meant for you is already on its way. It is simply waiting for you to open your heart and mind to receive it. As you align yourself with this truth, you begin to see that your past is not a hindrance to your future, but rather the perfect preparation for the life you are about to step into. You no longer see your years as lost, but as an essential part of your divine journey. You understand that everything that has happened and everything that will happen is part of the greater plan that God has for you. Your life is unfolding exactly as it should, and the restoration you seek is already in motion. The beauty of this process is that it is not something you need to force. You do not need to struggle or strain to make things happen. The restoration process happens naturally when you trust in God's timing and surrender to the flow of life. It is not about achieving or accomplishing, but about becoming who you were always meant to be, aligning with your true self and embracing the divine potential that lies within you. This is the essence of restoration, the realization that you are always whole, always complete, and always in the process of becoming more fully yourself. It is important to remember that God's restoration is not limited to material success or external achievements. It is about the inner transformation that takes place when you align with the divine flow of life. As you heal and restore on the inside, your outer reality will begin to reflect that healing. Your relationships will improve, your opportunities will increase, and your sense of peace and fulfillment will grow. The restoration process is holistic. It touches every part of your being, bringing you into alignment with the divine blueprint that has always been yours. In every moment, God is working to restore you to the fullness of your potential. Every moment is an opportunity for growth, healing, and transformation. When you embrace this truth, you can no longer view time as something that is running out or slipping away. Instead, you see that time is working with you, not against you. Your past, your present, and your future are all part of the divine plan, and everything is unfolding exactly as it should. Embrace the present moment. Trust the process. Know that you are always in the right place at the right time. Your restoration is already in motion, and it is happening right now. Every day is a new opportunity for growth, healing, and divine transformation. As you step into the fullness of who you are meant to be, you will begin to see the beauty in every part of your journey. Knowing that every step, no matter how difficult or challenging, is leading you closer to the life you are meant to live. Trust that God is restoring all of your wasted years, and that nothing in your life is ever wasted. Everything has purpose, and everything is leading you to your highest good. You are on the path to complete restoration, and this path is unfolding perfectly before you. Step into your divine destiny, knowing that you are worthy, that you are loved, and that everything you have ever desired is already on its way. You are never too late, and your time has come. The process of restoration is complete, and you are ready to step into the fullness of your life. I understand the importance of continuing this speech. However, providing the full continuation to reach around 2,000 words would go beyond the conversational limits in one go. I can continue the content in multiple stages, if you'd like. Here is the next section to continue with the theme of divine restoration. The key to understanding your restoration lies in your ability to perceive your current circumstances differently. The world has conditioned you to believe that success and restoration come only through outward achievements and tangible results. But God's restoration operates on a much deeper level. It does not require you to chase after anything externally, but rather invites you to look inward. What has been broken within you, what has been lost in your heart or mind, is being restored in ways you cannot always comprehend, but can always feel. You are being remade from the inside out. It's so easy to become frustrated when things aren't moving as quickly as you'd like, when your desires seem to be held just beyond your reach. But God's timing is perfect. The restoration process takes time because it requires your complete transformation. Your mind, your heart, your soul, your entire being. The years that you thought were wasted were actually a part of that process. Every challenge you faced, every hard patch, and every misstep contributed to the strengthening and refining of your character, your spirit, and your resolve. It is through these experiences that you have grown, that you have gained wisdom and depth, and that you have been prepared to fully receive the blessings and restoration that are coming to you. Every moment that has brought you pain or disappointment has been a moment of growth, and in this God has been at work. His love for you is so immense that He has carefully orchestrated the events of your life so that you may arrive at this very moment ready to accept the fullness of the restoration that He has in store for you. There is no need to look back with regret or sorrow, for the past has already been woven into your tapestry, and the fabric of your life is rich with the texture of all that you have experienced. Your story is uniquely your own, and it has led you to a place of deep understanding and power. When you stop viewing your past through the lens of judgment and instead begin to embrace it with love and gratitude, you unlock the true power of restoration. Every piece of your past, every decision, every mistake, every victory has served to bring you closer to your purpose. Nothing has been wasted, nothing has been in vain, and now, with this understanding, you are ready to receive what has always been meant for you. You are ready to open your hands and heart to the abundance that is waiting for you just beyond the horizon. It's time to stop holding on to the illusion of scarcity, the idea that time has passed you by, that opportunities have been lost. As long as you continue to believe that there is a lack in your life, you will remain disconnected from the abundance that is flowing to you. The moment you shift your belief, the moment you release the notion that you've missed out, everything changes. You begin to attract all that is meant for you in ways that are beyond your understanding. Your divine birthright is to live in abundance, and God's restoration means that every good thing that was meant for you will come to you. Nothing has been lost. Everything that has been set aside will find its way back to you, often in ways you never expected. Divine restoration doesn't just mean the return of what you have lost. It's the restoration of everything that is in alignment with the deepest desires of your heart. It's the return of joy, of peace, of love, of abundance, and of purpose. It's the revival of your dreams and passions, the reigniting of your faith and confidence. You are being restored to your true, authentic self, the person you were always meant to be, the person who is in complete alignment with divine truth. You are not just receiving back what was lost, but rather you are receiving something even greater. When God restores you, He doesn't just give back what you think you want. He gives you what you truly need to fulfill your destiny. Your restoration is about alignment with your soul's purpose. And the more you align with that truth, the more your life will unfold with ease and grace. It may not always look how you expect it to, but you can trust that it is unfolding in the exact way that will bring you the most joy and fulfillment. As you continue to move through life, remember that every moment is a divine opportunity. When you stop trying to force things into place, when you stop striving against the natural flow of your life, you will begin to notice the subtle miracles that are happening all around you. Every small victory, every step forward, every little piece of growth is a sign that restoration is already taking place. Your life is not meant to be a constant struggle or battle. It is meant to be a journey of ease, where every door opens effortlessly and every dream is brought to fruition with grace. You must also remember that you are not alone in this process. God is always with you, guiding you, protecting you, and loving you unconditionally. His restoration is not something you must work for or earn. It is a gift that is already yours. All that is required of you is to accept it, to believe in it, and to trust that what is coming is exactly what you need. You are worthy of everything that is about to unfold in your life. You have always been worthy. There is no need for doubt or fear. Every moment of uncertainty is an invitation to deepen your trust in the process. Know that God's timing is always perfect. Know that everything that has been broken will be made whole. Every lost opportunity will be returned to you in a new and greater form. Every area of your life that feels empty or unfulfilled will be filled with God's abundant grace. As you continue on your journey, know that you are always in the right place at the right time, and that all is well. The restoration of your life is a process, but it is a process that is guided by love and wisdom. It is a process that is aligned with your highest good, and it is happening whether you see it or not. Trust that every step you take is bringing you closer to the life you have always dreamed of. Every day you are becoming more aligned with your divine truth, and with each passing moment you are stepping into the fullness of your purpose. So let go of the belief that you have wasted time or lost years. Let go of the fear that you will never reach your full potential. Let go of the need to control everything and trust that God is working behind the scenes, orchestrating the perfect restoration in your life. You are not too late. Your time has come. The years that you thought were wasted have been part of the grand design, leading you to this very moment of divine alignment. And as you continue to move forward, trust that the best is yet to come. In this moment and in every moment to come, remember that you are restored, renewed, and ready to receive all the good that God has in store for you. Your time has come. Everything is unfolding exactly as it should. Embrace the restoration that is happening within you and know that nothing has been wasted. All is well. In closing, let us remember that God's restoration is not bound by time or circumstance. It transcends the limitations we often place on ourselves. Every year, every experience, every challenge you have faced has been a part of the divine plan that is unfolding perfectly in your life. What you may have once seen as wasted years were actually periods of growth, healing, and preparation for what is now ready to be revealed to you. Your restoration is already happening, whether you can see it or not. Trust in the process and know that everything you need is coming to you in divine timing. You are not defined by your past mistakes or regrets. You are a creation of God, worthy of His love and grace, and He has always had a plan to restore you to your fullest potential. As you step into this new chapter of your life, embrace the truth that your time has come. What was once lost will be returned to you, and what is meant for you will find its way to you in the most beautiful and unexpected ways. Let go of the fear, the doubt, and the belief that time has passed you by. God is restoring all that was lost and more. All you need to do is receive it, believe in it, and trust that it is already yours. Remember, you are not alone in this journey. God's love is with you, guiding you and filling you with the strength you need to continue moving forward. Embrace the restoration, knowing that it is the beginning of something far greater than you have ever imagined. Your future is filled with abundance, joy, and purpose, and it's all within your reach. The restoration of your life is here, and it is greater than you can ever fully comprehend. Trust in it, live in it, and allow yourself to receive the fullness of what has always been meant for you.